Yeah, I'm glad we're here, man. I'm glad we're finally doing it. You know, like we said before, I think the only way to intro it is to be like, yo, like this is something that we do, right? Like building these playlists, listening to music, kind of me using it for the inspo and like trying to figure out what things to take away from certain artists. Also just being a fan of the music, but just I guess my ears are a little perked up differently these days, and yeah, you doing your thing with just music discovery and trying to see like where all this shit really lands, and how we can push it a little bit further. So I'm excited we're doing this for sure.
Yeah, and I think I know my main thing was like I think there's not a lot of non-pretentious just music discussions that aren't like super deep music nerd stuff, but just kind of appreciation and more about the art of discovery and what you enjoy about music rather than is stuff good or bad or why it's cool and all that. So
yeah.
And then just how you listen to it, right? We both listen to stuff very differently, and I think that's something that I think we'll learn, even though we've known each other for so long, we'll even learn about each other's ears that way. So,
oh yeah,
we'll see what happens.
We'll see what happens, man. A lot of wild things happening. We're also in quarantine, so definitely got a lot of time to listen. But I was peeping all the like Little Richard clips, and they kind of had me. I don't know. I felt like I was like, I know about Little Richard. I know his music as a background to my life, but and I think my earliest memory of Little Richard is like Sesame Street. He was just like he was that guy.
Yeah.
But I don't know enough about him, or like, the just being kind of like him being the father, the architect of rock and roll.
Of rock and roll, yeah. It's, I think, one, like when these like huge artists die, I think it's such an interesting, everyone loves to have like 2020 of the past and like how, what they did for the culture. But I really wish that, I think he was such an interesting character that I kind of wish he, hadn't been, we would have had like our era of content when he was like younger and as wild of a person that he was, because he's just like made for this era of just like, and I think our childhood got like a taste of that. He popped up in so many like little weird spots on TV shows and movies and stuff, and that was like kind of the end of his career where he was just this weird kind of character. But he doesn't get enough of the love and the credit. I think we don't think about him as the person that really started this whole thing, as a black man back then, but also
from Georgia.
From Georgia, but also a gay man back in the, there's just so many layers to him.
Yeah.
And I always think about, he's kind of like the black Liberace, like to me, where I think there's probably a period of time when he just like was popping when he first came out in like Tutti Frutti and all that, where he had like 18, I was reading something that he had like 18 hits within the span of like 18 months. And he was just doing his thing, but I wonder how many people were like, there's something odd about this boy. Because I was reading about how like his dad didn't let him wear a pompadour until he had a hit, because his dad like kicked him out of the house and everything. But then when he became like a musician, he was like, all right, now you can have crazy hair.
Yeah.
He's just like a wild character, but just really set the bar for Elvis and Chuck Berry and all those guys, which is kind of the beginning of it all. And the Beatles, we wouldn't have the Beatles without him. So and Hendrix played.
Yeah, Hendrix playing.
He's played in
James
his band,
Brown,
all this stuff.
Yeah, it's wild. I forget who he had on drums, but he was just he he set the path for a lot of people. It's kind of crazy.
Yeah. So I hope that, I hope he gets a retrospect. I would love like a Little Richard movie and shit like that, and get more content about how interesting he was. I was reading, there was a Rolling Stone article from like a couple years ago about his sexuality and how even that, the way he defined himself, kind of fluctuated throughout the years, and a lot of it was with his faith and coming in and out of the church and stuff. But just a really interesting story, and way ahead of his time in the way he thought about that, even in the 60s and 50s and 60s in the South. So and just made jams.
Made crazy jams, man.
Also, Tutti Frutti, like I was reading the original lyrics was about gay sex, which is amazing. The like original lines are wild.
Oh, really?
He changed them and made the first rock and roll hit. Yeah, it's literally like, I mean, I'll let you read them, but it's like about lubrication and shit.
That's great. I love it.
Obviously, Tutti Frutti, booty, all that stuff.
That's like the proper way to like introduce a genre to the world.
Yeah. He was doing it. It's crazy. But yeah, also that it kind of went, they always say death goes in threes, that
crazy.
Him and then Andre Harrell and then today Betty Wright, all like, and I think really an interesting perspective on like black music over the years, right? Like the three of them have such a different role in things. I think that's really interesting and unfortunate that it all happened at the same time, but yeah, pretty wild.
Yeah, I mean they live long lives though, and that's kind of all you can ask for in this journey. It's like live a long, impactful life. At this point too, for sure.
Yeah.
What I do like though, to go with that, is like they're getting this hindsight's 2020 on giving them their flowers now and kind of people learning more about them, but taking it to like Verzuz and what's going on with these battles, like these are like living legends that are not old, right? They're still out here, they're still grinding, and we're like highlighting these people and kind of like giving them a resurgence. Like it's like definitely opening up more platforms for them. But the Jill Scott, Erykah Badu thing, man, I think it's gonna open up a lot, like a new way of doing the Verzuz battle, where it's like I think the other ones were cool. I think obviously like we had some legends in there. T-Pain, Lil Jon was amazing.
That was my favorite by far so far.
T-Pain is honestly, and just the fact that this man's like 35. Like, it's
my favorite party game. I always do that to people. How old is T-Pain? And people are always mind blown that he is not that old.
Yeah. But
so funny.
Just giving them their flowers is crazy, and like the Jill Scott, Erykah Badu thing was dope when they just switched up the energy, and it was like, it wasn't like, I got you on this one next. It was like, like they were telling stories. They were like, they've been supporting each other through like the industry as black women for a very long time. And even when labels and the business try to pin them against each other for doing a similar thing, even though, their sounds are so drastically different. It's just kind of cool that they were just in there being like, it's always been love. Like they really came and showed out for each other. I thought it was really cool.
Yeah, it felt much more like why we all watch it, where it was like a mutual appreciation thing as opposed to a show, as much of like the show-offy, like the battle that they've been trying to get people to be like. And the story. I think I love the storytelling that goes with it, right? Telling the background on how that's what's most interesting to me. But I think as a dialogue between the two artists is really great. But yeah, I think them as one is the first female artist that they've allowed to do it, but and neo soul as just like its own kind of moment in time and historical thing. I think that it'll help branch this out a little bit. They tried obviously with the Benny Blanco and Ryan Tedder thing, but
that was corny. That was corny, man.
It was corny, but also, so I think it's such a different thing for like them, because it's like they literally had to decide what hits to come up with, as opposed to like, oh, let's tell the journey and like here are like my 20 songs. These guys are like, I'm Ryan Tedder, I have 150 number ones, I can just pull out whatever. But yeah, I think this will help expand it a little bit. I saw people throwing out like Alicia Keys and John Legend as one, and like
they were both like, let's do it,
yeah. And I think it would be similar, where it would be the storytelling and a mutual appreciation, as opposed to beating on my chest to try and show you I got a better.
I like both. I like the beating on the chest. I think that for some of these, especially for the producers, like it is funny to see like how they've like just how they created a sound, and how like they could hit you with these songs that you just totally forgot about that shaped our lives. Like people kind of like, I don't know if people do this more than I do, but like just hating on Lil Jon for like what I thought was his story and how he came up, and like and how he just like went to electro, started doing the EDM thing, and it's kind of like, this man is not really fulfilling something for me anymore. But then when you think about it, you're like, yo, like that was the soundtrack to my middle school. Like, and high school. Every
song he played in his was just like, oh wow, this man plays such a major role in my development, that I'm like, it just is the back, it's just part of it, and he's such a character. But then you're like, damn, respect to it gives you that reminder, which is great.
Yeah, I think they didn't give, because it was like, it's such a learning curve, I bet, for them. But I really, if I could do one over, I'd do the Manny Fresh, Scott Storch one over. I think just Manny Fresh is like, Just Blaze said it, but he was like, you could have Rockefeller without me and Kanye, you could have blank without blank, you can't have Young Money, Cash Money without Manny Fresh. So it's like, he like truly like made New Orleans bounce, like come into the mainstream.
I also I really want them to switch platforms. Like it needs to be on YouTube or something. Like I can't dealing with the technical difficulties every week is kind of like I mean, it's very of our time that we all have the patience for it. But I would love, like what Quest does when he DJs. He's streaming on YouTube, but it's on YouTube, so like you can listen to the records, right? I would prefer that we weren't like, because I think obviously the Teddy Riley and Babyface was the pinnacle of technical difficulties, but to avoid that every week would be pretty great. And just let people hear, I think we're forgetting that there's so many people that are listening to this and hearing these records for the first time. And why not put it in a place that allows them to actually hear it and can metadata it so they can buy, you can monetize it, all this stuff. To me, that would make way more sense. But I get the ease of just clicking on a live and being there and watching.
Yeah, I think Instagram is also trying to adapt to the times and figure out like how to make this like this is it's kind of is honestly Black culture is like driving quarantine and making shit happen. Like every dope thing you heard about is coming from these crazy phenomenal Black artists, and like a platform like Instagram is honestly just like they gotta figure out how to adapt and keep up with the innovation that's happening with just like this kind of stuff. Like they wasn't meant for this, right? Like
no, definitely.
Did they have like the hour, like we're shut down after an hour and we had to come back on?
No, they seem to have gotten rid of that.
So they got rid of that,
Yeah, because that was pretty terrible at the beginning, and was just losing them viewers. Right, there's so many people that just didn't know. But yeah, I would just love that if it was a direct feed of the songs. That'd be cool. But then again, I realized that trying to get all these people to get an actual setup versus just their phone is probably also a whole ordeal.
Yeah, I mean, some of these people are like, we got an iRig, we know how to do this so that you can hear it clearly, set up my mic. And then some people are like, I got my phone and I'm just going to play some shit.
Yeah, I've noticed that, yeah. I mean, that's been such a hilarious tell. I mean, that Babyface and Teddy Riley thing was so funny. Yes. It was, and, you know, and like Sean Garrett's was him just like in his face. It's just like a whole other thing.
Yeah, homeboy was smacked.
I think I would, yeah, he was on some, but I would also love, I think we're an interesting in-between generation for this whole thing, right? I've you know, there have been these older artists that I think are getting great. You know, it's great for us to like put a spotlight on them and stuff. But I think there's some great battles of the newer. You know, like I saw like they might do Luda and.
No, it's happening.
Who is it? Luda and.
Put some respect on this man's name, man. Let's go.
Nelly,
what are you talking about,
Nelly,
man?
Yeah. But see, but I'm saying like Luda and Nelly, like that to us is like, oh shit, like I'm all about it. But I think some of the other ones, like the Premier one and Teddy Riley and Babyface, like it's for such an older generation. I think, especially if you're trying to move this on the platform and stuff. I think it is. You really can get more.
I think Ludacris and Nelly's about to fucking.
No, I'm so excited for that.
Like,
that's
who you got?
wild.
Who you got in that one?
I mean, it has to be Luda because he's got so many features, so many, and he's got a little bit of a longer thing, but then it's like definitely the jams. I've seen people like talk about the difference between hits and jams with this, and like some of these. So it is kind of the difference between the Lil Jon and T-Pain one is like hits, where we're just like, yo, this is a hit, this is a hit, versus Teddy Riley and Babyface is like jams, where it's like, oh, this was my jam. I think those are like very different feelings. And you're picking, and like you even see it in kind of the way they pick songs, because they'll play songs they think are like gonna be like mic drops, and like people are like, that didn't really have an impact. That's a jam to some people. But Nelly, for me, is like jams. And
what?
Luda's got hits.
Yo, Luda. I think Luda had what goes back to like he had a long stretch, but he's doing like features. These aren't always his songs. So.
But why would you not? That's not a rule. I mean,
it's not a rule.
T-Pain did.
But I think Nelly got a lot of hits too, man. Like Nelly's gonna come.
Oh no, I'm not saying he doesn't have hits, but I think that like overarching. Plus, Luda kind of has a longer thing, right? Like he has more of the like Khaled stuff, whereas Nelly's gonna have the Shanti and that stuff, where like older stuff that's just like those are jams, but they were hits at the time. But they're more jams to the culture.
Got that Florida Georgia line, man.
Yeah, we're gonna. Yeah, are we gonna?
He's not gonna play that. That's not.
He'll have to. That's his biggest song ever. Literally, that's his biggest song.
It's just not the crowd.
But that's the difference between a hit and a jam. That's a hit. Yeah, it ain't a jam.
Yeah, no, it's true. He's gonna hit the pimp juice. He's gonna. I mean, he's got songs.
That'll be fun.
I'm Team Nelly. I'm putting my jersey on backwards. I'm putting a Band-Aid on my face, getting my Air Force Ones out. Like,
man,
I'm ready. I'm ready for Nelly.
Yeah, for nostalgia, Nelly is a feeling for sure. I'm all in on that.
They both are, man.
That'll be great.
I love that. Lupe woke up from a nap after.
Oh yeah, he's like, I missed it.
He's like, I missed it. Did they play Daydream? It was like, no. I was like, nah. I was kind of sad.
That's crazy. Yeah, but I think that's like one of the best things is what they pick, right?
It is it's a good window into how they look at their own shit.
Especially the artists with like vast catalogs where you have to pick versus like someone that has 15 or 20, and then it's like pretty set. But where it's like, oh, I didn't even remember that. It didn't have a blip on my radar, but it had such a huge impact on the culture that they don't even know. That's an interesting thing.
Snoop Dogg was talking about how the only real person he can go against is Jay-Z.
No. I'd like to see Snoop do like another West Coast dude.
There is no other way. Like, Snoop ran the West Coast for such a long time.
Yeah. It's been interesting, everyone trying to figure out what the Jay battle would be.
He wouldn't do it.
He would never do it, but he's such an enigma, and the type of, he's got, you can't put him against like just a hip hop, or like you couldn't do a Jay-Z Nas, because it would
you do a Jay-Z Snoop.
You could, but
Snoop and Jay been in this for decades. They both have hits that stand.
They have, just by sheer amount, they could probably go toe to toe, I guess.
Central Seduction.
And it would be a very, I guess it would be like a polarizing thing, because it is two drastically different styles that span the 30 years of hip hop, right?
Yeah, and they both have records in the past couple of years that have still done really big numbers, and like Verzuz, and
what is Jay-Z's finale song at this point?
Empire State of Mind.
I mean, that's what I would think, but that's so wild. I mean, that's Florida Georgia Line for Nelly. There's no way that Jay is like, oh man, I really like, that's my song.
First of all, Jay would never do it, but if he had to hit the number 20, he would have to play Empire State of Mind, because that's just that it took over. It's the official New York song. It's kind of like the official American song. Like, it's like the American dream in one song.
Yeah. No, that's funny. Yeah, no, that would be pretty wild. Yeah, people were trying to do like Jay and DMX. It's just like there's nothing.
Nah, Snoop Dogg is the only person.
Snoop, I guess, is probably
that can go against him based on the range of hits.
He's the only guy that's aged with hip hop, right?
Yeah,
no one else is aged with hip hop aside from Jay.
Yeah.
All these guys have moments, and no one else has been able
and
to do this.
I know they have mad stories that they could share if they're like legal.
Yeah. If that ever happened, that would break the internet. It'll never happen, but
that's the only one. That one and the Kanye Pharrell. If a Kanye Pharrell thing happened, that'd be crazy. That would just go crazy. Because I honestly don't know who would win that one. That one would literally be like, how did you pick your songs? What's the order?
Yeah.
Like.
Yeah, that would be wild. And that would be such a, see what's in Kanye's brain. What he thinks. He could literally play like, he would do some wild Kanye thing where he just plays all of 808s and he's just like, these are the best beats I've ever made. And y'all don't understand it. And we would just be like, who we are? Okay, sure, man.
But those songs still slap. So it's like, all right.
And he could legit sit there and be like, this shaped a generation of music, this album.
Yeah.
Right? And it would be a wild, and he's out, he is what he is. Or in his current state, he could just play all of his Jesus music, and we're all just screwed.
Yeah, he's like I've promised myself and God to not play secular music, and so my first song is whatever dumb song that he has on his new Jesus project, and you're just like, all right, cool, bro.
Ugh. And it's like his Zoom background's just like is like Make America Great Again.
Oh no.
Oh my God, they're terrible.
We miss you, Kanye.
R.I.P. But yeah, Verzuz has been great.
Yeah, I love that shit. It's definitely, it's just making this thing a little livable.
Indeed. Should we dive into the playlist?
Yeah, let's dive in. Let's dive in for sure.
All right, you talk about the beginnings of this playlist, and then how we got to here.
Yeah. So yeah, we're updating the Moon Knight playlist, and basically, you know, artists I go by Mood by Mateo, and it's just another way to connect with people and kind of show them the process that I go through with like looking at different artists, seeing different production techniques or vocal arrangements that people are doing, just kind of whatever innovation is happening with music. And Moon Knight, and honestly, Moon Knight started as like my drive playlist. Is like how do I come up with, like, I like music that sounds like it's made for nighttime. That's when I connect with things the most, and so I wanted to make something that you could just like fully listen to on your drive and just kind of put you in like different elements, and yeah, so that's where it started, and it's getting a lot of love from like the inner circle and people that know about me, and yeah, I'm just like messing with that idea of like how to expand the brand into, you know, music curation. And a lot of people always ask like what kind of stuff do you listen to, and so this is a good way to just kind of make people aware a little bit more. And also, like, you know, I think that I think great playlists start a conversation, and the connecting with people that way is like you find there's like an itch that people need to scratch when it comes down to like what are you listening to, and also like, damn, why didn't I find that? Why haven't I listened to this artist? That there's so much music that's coming out now that like this playlist could take so many shapes and still be really good. So I really like the idea of also keeping it pretty short and not just like, it's like almost album length, right? Like it's like this is kind of setting you for a commute or whatever it is. Like we're not commuting these days, but not too crazy. So
the couch to the chair.
Yeah, from the couch to the chair. But that's kind of been the vibe. I think, you know, this is the second installment that we're doing right now, and this is our first collaboration on a playlist besides like our vacations. Which honestly, those slap really hard. We should definitely make our vacation playlist public, but I guess they're probably like for a certain time. The Vegas one is kind of timeless.
Yeah. No, I forget. All my summer playlists and like are usually based around a trip, and then I forget. You know, I kind of move on, but then you go back and you're like, damn. One of the most frequent same places, like my 18 summer playlist, and I'm like, and I'll put it on and be like, damn, there were some jams. That shit was hot. So, yeah, no, and our trips have been made those playlists memorable.
And we've done like we've been pretty. Well, in Mexico we didn't have internet, so we straight up just played the beach playlist. The same playlist. Beach Boys, but in Vegas we were still like, we're just playing this playlist. It was kind of dope. Yeah. But yeah, this is our first like one-on-one collab that I think, you know, I wanted to get. You're just like really good at. You have a good ear for finding cool shit, and I think with this specific one, I wanted to meld the worlds and see like, you know, what we can come up with.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I make playlists all the time. I have one that I keep going every day, constantly. And I find that, you know, these days, that's just playlisting is our generation's making mixtapes. And it's such an easier, more accessible thing. And I find, personally, you know, I find doing the playlisting for people as, you know, I don't do it for people to say this is the cool, like, oh, you need to know like this thing, but more to just get people to stumble down another hole, right? And maybe discover that they're into this different sound or this thing, rather than just try and put people on to artists like in the industry. And I think that's to me that's what music is about letting people explore and paint their own palette with it. And I think playlisting helps do that these days, especially.
Yeah.
So we made this one. What was our
So I kind of
our theme of this one? Our theme.
Oh yeah. So this one, let's see, I'm gonna share a screen real quick. Boom. Yeah, I mean, so this one, the theme for me, I guess I gave you the theme that I was thinking, but kind of just going into cool voices, like different ways that these artists are kind of playing with voice as an instrument. And I don't know, man, I feel like there's obviously a lot of good music that comes out. I think one of the things that strikes me about songs these days is like the vocal production, or how like an artist that you might think switches up and does something completely different, where you can still recognize them, but it's like just interesting. They're using interesting tricks, so yeah, I mean, we'll dive into it. I put this Heartbreak Anniversary first. I think it's just like a really good way to just like jump off on a playlist.
Cool.
Why did you pick this one?
One, I mean, Giveon's having a little bit of a moment, obviously kind of put on by Drake of recently, but I think he has a really cool voice. It's a lot, deeper than most dudes in the R&B game these days.
Yeah.
And I think he just has a really cool use of his instrument that is.
And also, he doesn't sound as much like Sampa as people were giving him.
Yeah. When that first clip came out and everyone was like, Sampa, and it's like, no, not at all.
Yeah.
But also his EP is really dope. Take Time's awesome, and showed that he wasn't just kind of this guy on a Drake song. He's already doing his thing, and has a unique thing to his voice for sure.
What's the rules on this? Can we play this and then YouTube it? Or the record label's gonna shit on our faces?
Probably not. So don't play stuff. We'll just talk about it.
Damn.
We're gonna share the playlist in the link below.
Yes.
And people can subscribe, but no, I wouldn't play it.
Okay. Go ahead, Brittany Howard. Brittany's tight.
She's the GOAT.
Yeah.
I think. I mean, if anybody, I guess we give some sort of background about everybody, about the artists.
Yeah, sure.
I mean, Alabama Shakes. She's the lead singer. Which is one of the best rock bands, I think, of the past decade.
And she's already got a voice that's like her. She just got her own thing, her own flavor going on.
Yeah, and I think that's what. I think it's rare these days that you hear someone that is so unique and just complete all-out tone, right? I think a lot of these people are doing something interesting, or doing interesting vocal production, right? I think she just is different, 100%. Her tone, her use of her voice, her range, everything. And it's pretty amazing. And to have a queer woman of color as the lead of a huge rock band is amazing. And then the solo project that she put out is amazing. I think the songwriting's great. It's much more personal than a lot of the Album Shake stuff, and she took it all over the place with her sound, a little softer in places, but then there's really unique stuff like Goat Head.
I love the keys in Goat Head.
Keys are dope. I think it stands out as I don't know. I think I guess the whole project, she has such a big voice. I love how she can shrink it and still fill up space, and it helps with her storytelling. I think Goat Head does that really well. without taking away from just like the tower, like the wall of sound that she is.
Yeah.
And the story is hits home and is amazing. So
Yeah.
it's a great song.
We also have my wifey, Rosalia.
Rosalia. Yeah, man.
What's that song called?
April 14th. Do you want to talk about Rosalia?
Yeah, man, I love Rosalia. I think that, I mean, the only thing I can say about her, I think this song is beautiful because it's like stripped down. It's just a guitar and her singing, and she's doing her the flamenco style, like fully just getting into her crazy runs and vibrato and stuff. I think the cool part is that, as from what we've seen in her career, Rosalia is she's embraced how mainstream music culture, the industry has embraced her, and like I think it's great. I don't like hate on an artist for like taking that and running with it. I think she's navigated it pretty well. Like every like hit she's given us since that moment where she's been recognized on a large scale has been like definitely not like the most experimental, but she's still doing like really solid stuff, like, and just jams, like her stuff with J Balvin, the stuff like just her linking up with these different Latin artists and and just coming bringing this flavor and just representing for the women. Like I think she's doing a phenomenal job, but I think at the same time I'm excited for the eventual return to this kind of like softer, more moody music that she started off with. And like, you know, her like her first album and her EPs, they were like really pushing this the gymnastics of her voice like fully. Like she's so dope, and her range is way more than like getting on like a nice like, you know, floor to the floor.
Floor on the floor kind of thing, yeah. I think I think also we wanted to like highlight songs that aren't necessarily the big hits for people, and especially with an artist like her that is taking over the world. I think her first album was amazing and much more of a traditional flamenco sound, but before she started doing so much vocoder stuff, but shows that she's still, I mean, her voice is just super interesting and amazing. I mean, her vibrato is just some other worldly shit. And but I think for people that may not know, I'd love for people to like hear this stuff and kind of see what her journey has been in such a short period of time. I think she's one of my favorite artists. Every time she puts something out, I'm so intrigued to see what new thing she seems she's putting out, and just the cool thing that she's pushing, you know, to take a genre like flamenco and push it forward into 2020 in the way that she's done is amazing, right? And so cool and different, especially when Latin music is the sound of the globe right now. Is pretty awesome to have the female pop star be pushing flamenco as the vehicle for that. For sure. She's dope, and she also seems like she has a good vision of just knowing what she wants to do, knowing where she wants to take it. Yeah, I mean, her visuals.
Exactly.
Her visuals are always so beautiful, well thought out, cool, and art. You know, she's making art as opposed to falling into getting away from that, right? And I think that's pretty awesome. Yeah,
she's dope. Shout out Rosalia. Would love to meet you one day. Our boy Smino, Amphetamine.
Smino, he's the man. Shout out to Nelly, St. Louis. Smino is, I think you've been the only person that has really said that people don't rock with what he's doing, or you've heard people say. I guess I'm also not having enough conversations with people that don't know him or like his stuff. But I love what he does. His whole thing is pushing the boundaries of what he can do with his voice, with different tones, melodies, everything, and
accents.
be the accents,
characters, crazy.
Yeah, everything. I mean, and that's what he does. But being the swaggiest, smoothest dude while doing it is a remarkable feat, and and musically super strong. I always, you know me, I want the most musical choice to be done, and usually shines through, and he's truly does it. And yeah, I love everything he does. Where's your stance on it?
Yeah, I mean, I think this is a great, if people haven't paid attention or know about him, I think this is a great entry point. I think Amphetamine is a beautiful song, and it shows that he's got this range of just the way he bounces on a track. It's like, it's so dope, but he can also just slow it down, and he's got a lot of soul. I think Smino's also just one of the funniest characters to come out of the planet in a very long time.
And and clearly the most true to himself, dude. Like, he's just doing his thing, and I love that in any artist, and I think that always shines through. And he's hilarious. I love that whole crew of dudes, like him and Jid and Buddy and all them are just the men.
They're great.
And
this man, this man got broke his leg and put baby Air Force Ones on his crutches.
On his crutches. It was after the first show of his first headline tour, and he realized he was gonna have to be on crutches, and he, as swaggy of a dude as he is, he put Air Forces on that shit. It was dope. Yeah, so he's the man.
Yeah, I mean, his voice is crazy. I think what you were talking about is like, I've heard a couple people that aren't like their ears perk up in a bad way when they hear his music. I think maybe I played the wrong song because you know, like,
it is. It's very out there, wild shit.
Tequila is one that's like, it's kind of, oh she wanna like, it's like, if you or Clink, sorry. So if you hear that for the first thing, you might not be into it. I think he has a lot of stuff that isn't as like experimental and like trying to push his voice as high, but
and that's why I think Amphetamine's a great song, because I think it shows a lot of the different stuff without being too like off-putting, where you're like, I don't really know what this guy does.
And I think that's also like part of the, if you're really pushing the music and your voice and you're trying to do something new, like, I think you have, part of that is like being fearless and knowing that like not everybody is gonna understand it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I mean, it's
like, you gotta kind of scare people a little bit, or else what are you doing? You know,
you want people to have a visceral experience with your music to show that it's actually doing something. The worst thing is for people to be like, "That's cool."
Yeah.
But that's it.
I know that feeling all too well. Bag Away, Harriet Brown.
Another just cool. This is more vocal production. What he does is really cool. He makes all of his music on his own. He produces everything. This is more of a, there's some picks on here that are more just up and coming, cool, interesting stuff. And I think, his vocal production is really cool, and I'm intrigued to see where he goes with it. But I don't have a ton to say about him. But I really like, I like what he did. It stood out to me.
I mean, I love the drums on that song. Crazy.
Yeah. But, see, like, it's so interesting. Like, everything just I can hear something really quickly just for uniqueness and vocal production and stuff like that, and then you're pointing out like all these production things. I'm like, I guess now I need to re-listen to what his drums were on that.
Drum fire.
Which I guess if we could play the playlist while we're doing this, we could do a whole analysis. But
when we get the
big checks
the beats one, plug.
Yeah, exactly.
And, I picked John Bapp. Do you know John Bapp?
No, I know Anna Wise, but
Anna Wise is on
not
here.
John Bapp.
This song is crazy to me. Like, it's John Bapp. I mean, I like his voice. It's just real smooth and silky. He's not doing necessarily like anything super crazy. He just like really understands how to like pick beats and ride them really well and find these like weird pockets. His cadences are really special. This song is also just in a weird time format. It's not in 4/4. It's like they extended a bar, so it just kind of like it feels. The whole song makes you feel a little anxious, but in a really good way. Like it's like you can't not have it playing and not know that it's playing. It's very like it doesn't like fade into the background very easily. And him and Anna Wise, they've been working. They've done a couple songs together, and like I really like Anna Wise. I think she has a similar like very like easy voice to listen to.
Yeah, and for those that don't know, Anna Wise was on Kendrick's
"If These Walls Could Talk."
These Walls, yeah. And that originally was her song, and then he took it and flipped it and turned it into what it is today. But yeah. Yeah,
so I mean, just kind of just check that out, and we're just like I don't know, it's like it's just an interesting song. It's like it's one of those where you're like, I wish I made that song.
How often do you experience that as an artist?
Every day and more when I'm like when I'm putting it together, because I have like playlists that I'm just kind of like I need to like this and throw it in the can so that I can listen to it later, just if I come across anything. But I mean, a lot. There's just a lot of good music and a lot of really talented artists that are doing things that aren't getting the shine, but I don't know. I have it like probably like once a week. I'm like, oh man, and it's never like it's never the song. It's never usually the full song. Yeah. It's usually like I wish I came up with that progression. I wish I came up with that drum lick.
That's what I was gonna say.
Yeah, that concept.
Yeah, I would say these days, are you finding you're listening more to that and just like overall production stuff, little moments, or do you find, since your background's mainly in being an MC, do you like still find yourself lyrically being like, damn, that was crazy lyrically, or do you think you've moved past, since now you make a much more personal music, do you feel that it's mainly production stuff that stands out to you?
I think it's mostly production. It's mostly production because you just hear you do hear a lot of stuff that kind of sounds the same, right? Like things are kind of becoming other versions of themselves in other songs, and then they're all like on the same playlist, and that's kind of how music is not only being made, but it's being pushed that way. It's like the whole streaming game is wild, and it's definitely changed music, right? Like you turn in a song, and if your vocals don't come in less than 6 seconds, then these playlists they're gonna be like, we're not gonna pick this up, we can't promote this, like, because people are gonna click away, like all that. So it does like define the way artists are submitting the final version of the song, like they're doing that. So I think when you find these other songs that are like taking the chance on themselves and like really experimenting with like not coming in for a minute 14 seconds and letting the beat do its thing, or like whatever the case may be, I think that's intriguing to me, because I think, like we were talking about before, it was like with like my songs, like the one that has the least streams that wasn't on a playlist is the one where I'm like, but that's the real one. That's the one that people are actually
exactly.
Like, I can see who's touching that and saying I want to listen to it, versus one that's So I think
just playlist it in the DSP world that exists.
Yeah. So I think with a lot of, especially with this playlist, it's a lot of like these are people that don't feel like they're playing the game, more that they're just like really trusting the process. Be like, I'll get fans. I just got to keep on kind of doing what feels right. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, definitely. I think that's what I do like about this this playlist, and I think just both of ours kind of way that we listen to stuff for this exercise, I guess, is that I do value the unique choices these days even more because of how much 2-minute songs that have the same structure and the same progressions to just get streams and just catch people's ears. I want something that's going to make me kind of tilt my head and go, oh, that was interesting and different.
Yeah.
And especially like whether it's vocal production or song structure, whatever it might be, that's what really stands out these days to me.
And like it's kind of like, and just to go off that, like I think that there's different ways to go about it, but like I do find myself like I don't have the best playlist for a party. I don't.
Yeah.
Like I really don't. And like I respect the people that can do that. That's like their goal. They're like when I get in a group of people and we're playing music, I'm gonna have all the hits. Like I'm gonna have all these things that people want to like rock out to and stuff. And I'm like if I put this on, people gonna be like, they always go like, are you trying to like kill the mood or something? And it's
yeah.
But for me, I'm like I could listen to this kind of stuff with people and it feels like a vibe to me. So yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think I listen to different, but I get it.
Yeah, I think it's all setting and stuff, but yeah, I think that those are bigger issues to conquer, I guess, with the playlisting world, right?
Yeah. Benny Sings, My World.
Benny Sings.
What a name.
What a easy peasy name. No, I love Benny Sings. He makes really it's kind of like the Rosalia thing where you take a very simple concept but you make this very unique, interesting music. It's pretty much just him and his piano, really like laid back production, but he has a really cool, interesting voice. I think My World's like a good, interesting, accessible point for him. He doesn't make music that's out there or weird, but he's got really fun, cool, just like great chords, and I love his voice. It's like fun, it's really fun and soothing to me. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know how else to describe it.
No, it is. It's super easy listening,
but very different from most people, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I mean Obongjayer.
Obongjayer. We're gonna say that's as good as we're gonna. Sorry if anybody actually knows how to say his name.
Yeah. That song is dope.
He's
Frens.
a beast.
Yeah.
So this would fall under the like someone making music that I'm like, yo, you're doing something wildly different. And his vocal is just super out there. He's like a Nigerian-born dude, lives in London, grew up in London, and yeah, his music is kind of that genre-less wave, super influenced by everything, but Richard Russell, who runs XL puts out Adele, Jamie XX, tons of different people, but
small time ass.
Found him at and it's the best. He found him, and it's just his music's remarkable and genreless, and really pushes the bounds of what you think you're listening to. I think at every moment. And every song from him is very different and weird and out there, and but in a very like, I find it it's not jarring weird, right? I think that's like also, I guess, my use of weird. I like weird. I like it basically just being different. I don't want it to be the same. And
but you can go weird, and you can go weird and just be like, nah. That's not for
weird for the it's not weird for the sake of being weird, right?
Yeah.
I think there's very, very big differences.
It's like when you find like a new way to express the same emotion, then that's cool.
Yeah, and I'm all about that. Especially being in the music industry, so many people want to say, "Oh, it's this meets this," well, and like I want songs where someone can literally be like, "I can't even tell you what," you just have to listen to it.
Yeah.
And he makes that music, whatever that is.
Yeah.
And Frens is a good entry point for that, and I think what he's doing all over it is really cool.
Yeah.
Do you have specific
more?
Word. Do you have specific production notes
on that one? Nah, I think it's just all around just like really interesting to listen to, and I'm definitely gonna like listen to more of his work and copy some of it.
No, it is the forward wave. But I will say he like just put out a song with Take a Day Trip and Santi and like some other guys that's way more like a more traditional song structure, R&B kind of vibe, and he can still fit in there. Yeah. So that's like I think what he's gonna end up doing is gonna be pretty cool to watch.
Yeah, that's dope. Yeah. We got our girl Dana Williams.
Dana, that's the homie. Shout outs to Dana.
Shout out Dana.
Shout out Dana. No, I think I love Dana's music. I think she's an amazing songwriter, but has a very beautiful, unique voice, great vibrato, cool tone. Once again, taking a simple form. Her show, she's an amazing live performer, and it's mainly her and her guitar. Her band's really great, but I think she's strongest when it's just her and her guitar because it lets her instrument of her voice really shine. Yeah. She's just got a cool ass tone.
Yeah, she sounds great, and it's like this is a good song for you to just like focus on that because it's literally just her and the guitar.
Yeah, and the song especially like is, as songwriting goes, is really beautifully, and it's 4 times right now, I think is even more prevalent about being hard on yourself.
Yeah. Peter Manos, Tennessee.
That was your pick.
Yeah, did you get a chance to listen to it?
Yeah, I have it on my playlist, my other playlist.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Damn, how did I find that?
Maybe,
I actually don't know. I don't know if I pulled it from you, but
no, yeah.
Man, I love auto-tune done in like a really almost not familiar way, but it's like I don't know, a good singer on auto-tune that uses it right is so dope. Yeah. And when you don't need it, but you're still just kind of like messing around for the effect, like like I think Obongjayer kind of made that like cool in the indie world to just like mess around with these vocal effects but not necessarily like do it as a crutch. And this song for me is like really smooth, but just it added so much, and it would still be a decent song, but I think just adding that kind of thing, that flavor on it is like, man, like I don't know, it just came out so nice.
I think you put it perfectly. Like, he's one of those guys that he's using autotune, especially on the song, as a tool and as an instrument, not as a crutch, or this is going to be the only thing that makes my music cool. I think he uses it really well, and it sounds really dope, and
it carries the mood. It carries the mood the way that it wouldn't have done. Yeah. Without, it makes it sadder. Otherwise. Yeah. Yeah. Shout out Peter Manos. I would love to work with that cat. He's dope. Our favorite guy, the Godfather.
The senior member of this playlist.
The senior member of this playlist, our homie Swamp Dogg.
Swamp Dogg.
Damn. I love me some Swamp Dogg, man. I couldn't not put this man on the playlist.
He's a legend and having a great moment the past couple years. What stands out to you about Swamp Dogg?
I mean, the biggest thing for me is that he is his age weighs on him in the sense of he's writing about true pain over a long period of time. Mm-hmm. Like, I think that as dope as you can be in your 20s and 30s, it's so rare to have these like Amy Winehouse type of characters that are like young and understand like real pain. Mm-hmm. And Swamp Dogg is like, you can't write those songs without living life. You know what I mean? And even when they're not like, they're just like, it's a simple concept. Like this song in the lyrics, this is a lyric song for me too. Like where he's straight up like, I don't like hanging out with my homies because they talk about their wives and they go home to you know, people they love, and I go home alone. Mm-hmm. And it's like, I don't know, it's just like really painful, but it's such a good observation for somebody that's like really experienced that that crossover into adulthood. And he's also just got a cool story, and he's clearly like a polished singer and artist in general. Like, I feel like he just gives me the sense that these songs are not that hard to make anymore.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
He is a proof of, I mean, I think a lot of, especially talking about this place, a lot of it is showing how simple, like a great song can just be very simple and beautiful, and using your instrument that is your voice to convey that. And I think that's his genius. But you're right, like it takes 70 years of life for you to experience the experiences he's singing from and getting the emotions that makes it simpler for him, and to write something that comes from a place that you're like, yes, this man has lived this and is talking from his heart. But yeah, and then I guess more so outside of just this song, I'm all in on him just from the ride he's had, being reinvigorated by the Poliska and Bon Iver guys, and you know, and then he's got these old timey sounding soul songs that then have interesting, cool new production and weird auto-tune stuff and out there stuff, but still the heart of the true old soul.
Yeah, and I think too, what was dope is like, and I just had this thought, so I'm still forming, but like when you listen to like older artists, like you listen to like you know, fucking Paul McCartney or something, right? It's like this man, you've heard this man for decades. He was making classic songs before we were born. So like, he puts out a new record, it doesn't feel like, it feels detached in a sense. It feels like you've already heard this man's perspective maybe, and like that's like also like not to say anything, not to like degrade how amazing of a musician he is and writer. I'm just saying, like, I think that someone broad, I think that someone like Swamp Dogg that is like just getting out here is like, his story is like a lot more refreshing as an older gentleman of the arts, where it's like you haven't heard his story yet, you haven't heard his pain, so it's like being that old but also having this newness to you is like, we value age so much in the music industry, where we don't give, no one's looking for like the next 70-year-old act to sign, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I think that's what's so beautiful about his story. It's like, this man is out here, he's lived so many lives, and we're finally hearing his story, and it's finally getting the time it deserves. And like and those are like stories of pain that, because he's lived it so long, that once you like get a little bit of money, you're still reflecting on a full life of that path. And instead of being like successful for 50 years and then here's my, like, you know, I'm doing
and
this,
to be reintroduced to the world in this like unique way of that this team worked with him on, right? Is like, it's much more organic and Americana and rootsy than the traditional, like what you try and do with an artist, right? And especially to do that with a guy in his later stages of life is really amazing. To take something that we all know, right, in this genre and this type of music, and take a new perspective on it, and also allow him to shine on it is really cool.
Yeah.
And like the newest album, I know they took him. It's like all recorded in Nashville, and so way more of a country influenced feel, but still as soulful and cool. And
now you're just like, I got money, bitches.
But good for him. He's the
like
man.
I say that his next project is just like shitting on how everybody's broke.
He's gonna make a Migos album next.
He's gonna be hanging out with Drake's dad.
Drake's yeah.
Him and Dennis.
Yes, him and Dennis. Yeah, there's the other end of what someone trying to come out at 70 something making this type of music could do.
Yeah.
And it's not as great. That's funny.
Swamp Dogg, man. Shout out Swamp Dogg. James Blake. Who's that guy?
Who's
Don't
that
miss
guy?
it.
Just unknown guy.
Why'd you pick this song?
I picked this song because I think it felt, I mean, for me, it felt like the first of this kind of new wave of what he's doing, of kind of doing pitch shifting and time shifting his vocal in like a really interesting way. But it's such a beautiful, heartfelt, emotional song, right?
Yeah.
And it goes back to kind of what we've been talking about, is where you can do these unique vocal things, unique production moves that only add to the emotion and don't take away from it, and try and be like your shtick. And I think that all of James Blake's stuff, he's always done unique vocal stuff, but this is one of the newer things he's done, but also super unique, and he's still propelling himself forward while writing just beautiful music.
He's definitely one of the and he's like one of my favorite artists, definitely in my top 5 right now. But he's definitely one of those guys where I'm like, I have the feeling the most where I'm like, I wish I wrote that. I wish I came up with that. He just fully, like, he's just in a pocket. And this was actually, I remember this song came out before Assume Form. And it did introduce like this new wave that he was it was kind of like the intro into like these weird vocal chops, speeding up the voice and like doing it like way more dramatically than he's done in the past. And like it was kind of like, yo guys, like come with me on this journey real quick. I'm gonna be doing this more. It seemed like that was like a statement.
Yeah, he's an artist that every time he puts out new stuff, I think so much about the approach, right? I think that you can tell that he's so intentional in his approach to his songs. Everything is very deliberate, and I think it just shines through. I think about that a lot. I'm very much into the people's process, and you can just tell in the way that he works that it's the approach is so unique and beautiful. And then, we just saw him play with just him and a piano, and it was just as emotional, if not more, moving, stripping it back, and how he can still live in both of those spaces is amazing, right?
Without all the tricks.
Without all the tricks, as he said, very nervously before starting. Yeah.
Yebba, Evergreen.
Yebba. Personally, my favorite vocalist out right now. Well, coming out right now. She just put out her first single, Distance, for her new project. She's just a powerhouse. Like, one of those people that's just gifted with a voice that is just wild and can do things that you can't teach someone to do. And I think Evergreen's a cool example of just little. She's one of those people that just the nuggets, the little tiny things she does are so beautiful and unique and effortless. Like, she's crazy to me. on some other stuff. She's got crazy runs and does all these wild shit. But this song's really cool. And I'm just everything she's been on, when she pops up, I know it's gonna be special. When she did How Deep Is Your Love with PJ, that's like one of my favorite things. They won a Grammy for it, and that was off of her just singing his arrangement on Instagram, and then he was like, "Yo, come record this live with me," and then they won a Grammy off of that. That's crazy.
Yeah, that's wild.
She's a beast, and she's working with Questlove and Mark Ronson and doing
Rick Rubin
making real ass music, and that's awesome.
Yeah, she's getting looks. I'm excited to hear what this new album sounds like.
Yeah, she's a beast.
Moses Sumney, legend. Young legend.
Legend. Do you want to talk about Moses? I can talk about him.
Moses, honestly, just listen to Moses. Like, this man is... Moses Sumney's dope. We got to see him at Soho with just him and a guitar. That was super cool. He just got, like, such a beautifully controlled voice. And yeah, I know that man has, he's like one of the young cats that has, it seems like he's like lived a lot of lives already.
Yeah, and one of those vocals that you go, there's no way he can sing like that live.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And then we sat in a room where it was him and his guitar, and we were 20 feet away, and he was singing exactly like that live. It's just so controlled. How you can sing in your falsetto like that and do great, it's beautiful. Another person that's just like, I find the beauty in his voice. He's not doing a ton of stuff. It's just like, wow, you were given this unique, beautiful instrument, and you're using it.
Yeah.
And another.
Yeah, go ahead.
Go ahead.
No.
And then just on the artist level, I think he's. It's great to see like more unique black voices doing their thing in their own way. I appreciate that. Yeah,
I like Moses a lot. I think he's definitely somebody that's gonna. He hasn't even reached what we are gonna, like. We're gonna be so impressed by him for the years to come. And he's a dope collaborator. He's collabing with like a lot of other favorite artists, and they're just all like. Seems like people are really getting into this groove of finding, I don't know, it's like the all-star teams have been forming, and like Moses and James Blake and a lot of these people are definitely Justin Vernon. Yeah, it's like, all right, cool. Like, you guys are on the same wave. That's great. I love it.
Which is great to see those dots connecting. And he seems like he's got a great understanding of the world that he wants to create. And if you listen to his music, I think he creates a world. I think James kind of does this in this a little bit, but I think Moses creates very much a world, and you feel like you're going into a big novel when you listen to his albums. And he did that with like the new projects. He's like rolling them out in a very unique way, and he did like a live experience that's with it. And I think that the music really facilitates that in such a great way. I do feel like it is an experience listening to
Moses does sound, his songs all sound like he is in a really big church and that he lives in that's abandoned. And and he can't escape it. Like there's no way out of it, and you're just listening to this man that's trapped inside.
It's like that what was that movie with the books when we were Page Master?
Classic.
I feel like his songs are like that, like, oh my, like just take you into, and it's like the
now I'm in Moby Dick.
Now we're in here, like, oh, and it's just it's a fully enveloping experience. That's how Moses Sumney is the Page Master.
That's a pretty funny reference. And was that Macaulay Culkin? In the Page Master?
Does it start as a live action?
Yeah, they go into
animation?
cartoon. Yeah.
Man.
I wonder if that movie still holds up.
We should rewatch it. I remember it because they did like a promotion where you could get the books. So I had a special edition Treasure Island from that, like from Page Master.
Damn. You know what? I'm gonna go out on a limb. I'm gonna say, movie definitely holds up.
Definitely. We don't even need to watch it.
It definitely holds
Everyone
up.
go out and watch Page Master.
You let us know.
Yeah.
Forgive me. I did a playlist no, but I put Anna Wise and John back on this thing, man. But it's
You're
Anna
on.
Wise's song featuring John Bapp, and
Nice.
this is just like, I think there's a theme that I didn't necessarily know before, but there's a lot of songs on here, at least 4 or 5, not too many songs, but at least 4 or 5 of them are like these artists that have really cool production, usually, but we picked a lot of their like stripped down acoustic songs. This is one of and Nova is one of the Anna Wise songs that's just like they're just out here doing a duet with guitar.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's the best entry point to these, especially with the idea of these people's voices. I think that's like the best way of giving people entry points, of looking at it that way and from a different perspective than their big production. And yeah, what better way? And that's awesome that we figured that out.
Oh, we totally did it on purpose.
Yeah.
And like it's so you go to like so many different performances and concerts and see stripped down stuff doesn't always work. Right, like it can come off as like kind of like amateur, I guess. Like it doesn't feel. You gotta have like a certain performance and delivery, and like the whole thing's got to be there for like a acoustic song to like actually hold some value over the whole period of the song. I think like you gotta I don't know, you gotta be in the zone basically. So I like when you hear a good acoustic song.
Same.
Future
Islands.
Future Islands.
You're all in on Future Islands.
I am. I'm late to the game. I'm very late to the game.
Doesn't matter when, just as long as you get there.
Yeah, I mean, I heard Seasons when it came out, and I really liked it. I just didn't, whatever. I just didn't like pursue it. But Samuel T. Herring, man, like that man is an enigma. He's weird. His voice should not be inside that body. Yeah, I mean, he's just dope. Little Dreamer is like one of those where it's like it's not on their album. It's like not one of their big songs, but it's just a really beautiful like sad song. And his performance on it is like what I look for in Samuel T. Herring.
Yeah, he feels like one of those people that goes in and does like one take and puts every ounce of sweat he has on the microphone and leaves.
He is a sweaty man.
Which, yeah, if you see him live, he's the sweatiest person, but in like the best way. Like he's giving you everything, and but that shines through on the records. He's awesome, and yeah, like you said, definitely another voice that you're like, I did not picture that guy, but and it's just like I think they make music that's just so as another like weird, cool, like different thing. Like you would never. I can't tell you exactly what it is, where it comes from, but it comes from the inside of that man.
Yeah, and it's one of those things too where like you look at what he does and what Future Islands does, and it's clear that they like, they make music without, they make the music first and then they package it later. It's like they just make the shit. They're like, let's make it whatever he's feeling or whatever his band is feeling. Like they do it, and you can tell because they're just they're a tour band. Like they were never worried about like we need to be on this wave and this wave. It's like, nah, like we're gonna make the shit. And like Little Dreamer is a lot different from a lot of their other songs. because a lot of their stuff is like they have this upbeat 80s synth pop kind of vibe going on, and there's like not too many bands or artists that can like do that successfully, where they're just like, we're gonna make whatever we want to make, and you're gonna come with us on this, you know.
Yeah. Totally. They're their own thing, and I love it.
Also, Time Moves Slow is just one of those performances where I'm like, you sound like a 60-year-old black man.
Is it as one of my favorite things when you hear someone's voice and then their body is a completely separate thing.
I mean, Brittany, when I first heard Alabama Shakes, I was like, first of all, I thought it was a guy.
Yeah.
And then it was Brittany Howard, and I'm like, what is going on here?
It's the best.
Who is this random woman from the South making this music?
Well, that's the whole playlist.
Yeah, man. I'm excited to share it with people, and I don't know. I think it's a really good collection of songs.
Yeah, I think it's still true to the Mood Night vibe, but also I hope that people listen to this as like an accompaniment to it and understand the perspective and the theme and where we came from with picking them.
Yeah, man. Dope. Well, thank you for collabing on this with me. I'm excited for the next one. And
we'll keep it rolling.
And if you like what you hear,
subscribe below.